everyone, my name is Adeyemi Oluwademilade Debra, the creator of Compass 7.0, and in this video we're going to be discussing NECO Practical Geography 2022. As I said in my last video on calculations on longitude, I'm going to be starting the NECO correction series. Now I didn't start with NECO 2021 because I used that to teach Map Reduction and Enlargement, which was one of my earlier videos. But if you want me to make a separate video on it, including the 10 objective questions, let me know in the comment section. If you are new to the channel, make sure to check out our other videos. I know a lot of students find map work one of the most challenging aspects of geography, but the moment you understand the concept, I know that you'll come to love map work. And so without wasting any more time, let's get on to the video. Study the map of Godal district and use it to answer questions 1 to 10. What is the scale of the map in representative fraction? So now representative fraction can be written in ratio form or fraction as we see in the options above. The map scale we see at the bottom of the map for Godal district is a linear or a bar scale. So that is, we need to convert it to representative fraction, RF. Firstly, we need to measure the distance between the numbers. Remember what I say, always use your ruler. I cannot emphasize this enough. Please never assume you know the scale or the distance between them. It doesn't hurt you to use your ruler. Now, as you can see, I've created a similar linear scale, ignoring the numbers before the 0. So measuring the distance between the numbers, we have 1 centimeter. And since the interval between the numbers is 1, we can write the scale as 1 centimeter to 1 kilometer. And this is statement scale, but we need to convert the map scale to representative fraction. Recalling that 1 kilometer is equal to 100,000 centimeters, and hence 1 centimeter will be equal to 100,000 centimeters. So now converting this to representative fraction, we have 1 over 100,000, which is also the same thing as 1 ratio 100,000. So that makes our final answer option B. What is the approximate bearing of Godal settlement from Sanga? Now, firstly, we need to identify the places in question. So we can see the Godal district here, and then we can see Sanga all the way over here in the north. So we've identified the two places, Godal and Sanga. But if you notice, not too far from Godal settlements, to the east of it to be specific, we have another settlement called Shanga, which sounds a lot like Sanga. So S and H. So you have to be careful in identifying and writing the settlements. So Sanga is what we are asked to find and not Shanga. So now we need to draw a cardinal point on the places in question. And then we draw a line connecting them. And now we need to place a protractor on Sanga settlements. And this is because the question reads the approximate bearing of Godal settlement from Sanga, and the from is our indicator. So taking our bearing from 0 to our blue line, moving in a clockwise direction, we have 133 degrees, which is close to option D. Our questions even said approximate bearing. So now if someone made the mistake of putting their cardinal points on Shanga all the way over here, they are going to get option E, which will be very wrong. So in exams, read questions carefully and avoid falling into traps like this. The distance from Wawa to Russia as crow flies is approximately. So now if you've watched some of our word correction videos, then you'll be conversant with the term as the crow flies. So if not, then don't worry. As the crow flies simply means distance in a straight line. So now identifying the two places in question and placing our cardinal points there. And after that, we draw a line to connect them. Now we need to measure the distance between the two settlements, which is 12 centimeters. So 12 centimeters is not our final answer because that's just the distance on the map. We need to convert it to the actual distance on the ground. After all, that's why we have a map, to represent a large area on a smaller scale. And to do this, we need our map scale, which is 1 centimeter to 1 kilometer. So therefore, our map distance of 12 centimeter will be equal to a ground distance of 12 kilometers, which is closer to 13, option B. Because of our scale, there wasn't really any conversion. But if the scale was 1 centimeter to 2 kilometers, for instance, they will have a completely different answer. So always complete your calculations. The highest elevation on the mapped area is what? For this question, we have to get the contour interval. And towards the east of the map, we can see two contour lines that have their heights on them, 100 and 200. And from this, you can see that the contour interval, the difference between the contour lines is 100 meters. So now all we need to do is continue naming all the contour lines in ascending order from 100 upwards till we get to the highest contour interval, which is 600 meters in this case. And even if we look to the west of the map, we see the highest elevation there is also 600. So the answer is option B. Which of the following settlement is a confluence town? A confluence is a place where two rivers meet. So a confluence town is simply the settlement where two rivers meet. We can see the symbol for river in our key. If you look close to the map, you can see River Kanya. And if you follow its course, you can see where it takes its origin from, the highland, and where the two rivers merge at a settlement before forming the River Kanya. And the name of the settlement is Godal. Option A. The feature marked by the line XX is, now the feature marked by this line is a ridge. A ridge is a long, narrow, elevated feature of land with a steep slope on either side. The narrow shape of the contours confirms that the elevation is elongated, and the feature stretches across a long distance rather than being isolated, which matches the description of a ridge. You can check your textbook for more pictures or you can search them up online. Now let's evaluate the other options. So option A is wrong because a cliff would be represented by extremely close contour lines that almost overlap, indicating a sudden drop in elevation. Option B is wrong because a conical hill will look like concentric circles around a peak and XX is not circular. Option C is wrong because plateau would have wide spaced out contour lines, not closely packed like the ones we see above, and at the top, a plateau will also have a flat surface. Lastly, option E is wrong because an escarpment is simply a single steep slope, the edge of a ridge, but the feature XX has two steep slopes on both sides, which fits the description of a ridge better than an escarpment. I've been getting a lot of comments about making videos on contour lines and interpreting relief features, and I do plan to make one, so be expecting it after or towards the end of our NECO series. The main reason for the construction of rail line to Russia settlement is to, firstly, we need to identify what is the railway the question is asking about, and that will be solved by looking at the key of our map. At the bottom, we can see the railway and its symbol here, and we can see a very long railway line on the map. So now the function of this railway is not some fact that you have to know. By looking around the railway, you can easily determine its function. Now, a little to the left of the railway, at the northern side of the map, we see some symbols that are not settlements over here. And if we look at the key, we can see that they mean minerals, like mineral resources, tin, gold, limestone, etc. And so the answer will be option A. Because of the line's proximity to these mineral resources, it strongly suggests that the primary purpose of this railway is to transport minerals from the site of production or from the site where they are found to other areas for processing or distribution. So simply to convey mineral resources as we see in option A. There is no evidence on the map to suggest the dominance of farming activities around Russia, the settlements around the railway line, and so there will be no need to evacuate farm produce, eliminating option C. There are no indications of tourist attractions in the area or symbols of recreational centers, and so option D is wrong. The map already shows enough roads and paths connecting the settlements, and so option E is wrong. The map already shows enough roads and paths connecting the settlements, and so option E will be wrong. Because for it to supplement road transport, that is to say that the road transport is not enough. But if you, as you can see, connecting all the settlements, there are enough paths and roads that connect each of them adequately. Or if the railway is even going to be used for transportation, that's going to be a secondary function. But the main function is going to be conveying mineral resources in relation to Russia, as the question asks. For questions like this, you don't need to invent answers or think too much. The answers are usually staring you right in the face. What is the direction of flow of River Kanya? Now we see the symbol for the river in our map key. So now let's trace the path of the River Kanya. We can see that the two tributaries merge to form the River Kanya, and these two tributaries take their origin from the ridge. And the place where the river meets the roads or railways, we see another symbol which means bridge. The confluence is formed in the Godal settlements. So tracing the path of the river we have. Now let's place our cardinal points. Remember not to mix up east and west. Always remember that E comes before W, east comes before west. So the direction of the flow of River Kanya is southeast. The river moves from high to low elevation, that's down the ridge. It also originates near the upper part of the map and moves downward, which is south. So simply the river moves downwards and slightly to the right, which is the same as southeast. Which of the following pairs of towns is intervisible? Firstly, let's explain the concept of intervisibility. Intervisibility is the ability to see one point from another. If you watch the WAEC 2023 correction, we explained a similar question using this illustration. So from house A, what can we observe? We can see house C clearly, but we cannot see house B because the hill is obstructing it. And hence we can say House A and C are intervisible, and house A and B are not intervisible. Now, let's try another example. Making our reference point house B, what can you observe? So that means that from house B, we can see house C, but not house A. So house B and A are not intervisible, while house B and C are intervisible. So now that we understand this concept clearly, let's go back to the question. So the question is simply asking which of the following pairs of towns cannot be seen from each other. I remove the key since we don't need it, and we can make it easier to see the settlements better. So let's take all the options one by one. Option A, Godal and Como. They are intervisible from each other, and that makes it wrong. Option B, Guarda and Shanga. They are intervisible from each other, and that also makes it wrong. Option C, Godal and Russia. They are intervisible from each other, and that makes it wrong. Option D, Russia and Rafi. They are intervisible from each other, and that also makes it wrong. Option E, Wawa and Russia. They are not intervisible, and so that is our answer. Now, I know some people might be a bit confused about option B and some other options because the map is not as straightforward as the illustration I gave earlier because you can't really see the 3D illustration of the hill being big and obstructing it. But there's an important principle I want you to always look out for when determining the intervisibility, and that is the presence of high contour between the settlements or places in question. And between Wawa and Russia, we have our ridge, which reaches up to about 400 to 600 meters high. Don't forget that contour lines represent height. Don't think that everything is just flat. In option B, between Guada and Shanga, the only thing between them are settlements, roads, rivers, and railway lines, but no high contour. Even though option D, Russia and Rafi have few contour lines between them, it's similar to what I showed you earlier from house B, which was below, so we could easily see house C, which was on the hill. In that case, the contour lines are not separating them or obstructing their line of sight. Number 10, and our last objective question, which of the following economic activities cannot be practiced in Godal districts? So now let's compare all the options with what we can see on the map and the key. Option A, animal rearing. The map shows grass, as we can see on the map and the symbol highlighted, and this supports grazing, which means that animals are allowed to roam around and feed on vegetation, so it can be practiced in Godal districts. And hence is not our answer. Remember that the question said which of it cannot be practiced in Godal district. Don't be quick to pick an option and miss the question. So now option B, farming. Look at the key of the map and try to find which symbol supports this option. Scattered cultivation is present, and this indicates some level of farming. So this activity is also practiced in Godal as well, hence it's not the answer. Option C, fishing. This one should be obvious. Even though we don't have a large body of water, we do have a river there, which means that some fishing, likely small scale, occurs in Godal districts. Option E, mining. We have used this symbol before in an earlier question, and there will be mining there because of the presence of mineral resources. And that leaves option D, which is our answer. Lumbering, which is the process of cutting down trees for timber. There are no forests in the key, only grasslands and scattered cultivation. And since there are no trees to cut down, then lumbering is not possible in Godal districts. Now, moving on to practical geography. Study carefully the map extract of Oyo NE on a scale of 1:50,000 and use it to answer the following questions. A. Draw an outline of the box ABCD to a scale of 1:25,000. Now let's see the map. This is the map of Oyo NE, and the box ABCD the question was talking about is right there. As you can see for this question, we are not drawing an outline of the whole map. We are only drawing the section ABCD, and then we're going to insert the features in question B. But first, we need to know whether we are enlarging or reducing the map. And we were given both the old and the new scale, so now we need to find the factor. I'm sure that those who have watched our map reduction and enlargement video would already know how to calculate this. So now let's quickly do that. Remember this formula from map reduction and enlargement video? Old scale over new scale. Before we do the calculation, we can see that the value of the new scale is smaller than the old one, from 50,000 to 25,000. And remember when I told this in earlier videos, I said that a decrease in map scale means that we are dealing with map enlargements and then vice versa. So let's do our calculations to further prove these facts. Since we got a whole number, that proves that we are going to enlarge box ABCD by a factor of 2. Recall that a fraction would mean map reduction, while a whole number would mean map enlargement. So now that we know the factor our map is going to be increased by, let's go get the measurement of box ABC. On taking the measurements from the map, we have 10 centimeter by 6 centimeters. And so box ABCD is a rectangle. Now here I just enlarge box ABCD. Recall as we earlier calculated, we're enlarging the map by a factor of 2. And hence the new breadth and length will be 12 centimeter by 20 centimeters. And so now we can answer question A, which is to draw the outline of the box of ABCD to the new scale of 125,000. Now we can't just start drawing the given features of the map. We have to put a grade on both our old map, that's the one we're given, and the new map, the one we're drawing. So you have to pick a suitable grade. The boxes shouldn't be too big, if not, we won't be able to accurately place the features in their correct positions. And they shouldn't be too small, otherwise it'll be time consuming. Don't forget that this is just one sub question. We can't spend the whole day drawing questions. Apart from the question one, which is the map work, you still need to answer more questions in physical and practical geography. So as you can see, I've picked my grid with the boxes being 2 centimeter by 2 centimeters each. So that means that I'll have 6 boxes horizontally and 10 boxes vertically. You can count them. So now let's put this grid on our given map as well. And it's the same number of boxes, 6 boxes horizontally and 10 boxes vertically. Then we need to number the boxes on the side to make it easier to place the structures as seen above. And now we can start looking for the required features and put them on our map. For the plantation, we need to make reference to our key at the bottom of the map. On the right, we can see a part of the key. And if we look at the bottom, we see the plantation, which is an area shaded in green. And if we look at the map, the side where we have the line AD, we can see a very big plantation shaded in green, but only a small part is inside our box ABCD. And that's the part that we're going to put on our new map. And so we're going to place it in the same place on our own map using the numbered grids as a guide. Remember, on your own map, all of this should be done with pencil, from the box to the grids and the features on it. I'm only using colored pens to make them clearer and for aesthetic. Now the next thing is the reservoir. For the reservoir, we don't need the key of the map for this because it's clearly written at the vertex of B, that's right here. We can see the reservoir clearly written. And on our map, it should look like this. A reservoir is simply a body of water, whether natural or artificial, used as a source of water supply. Next is the main road. If we look at the map, we see different lines that look like roads, but the question specifically said main road, and so we need to refer to the map key. And straight away, we can see that the red lines indicate the main roads. And we can see that the red line runs through the lower part of box ABCD. So now let's draw it on our map using the numbers by the side to correctly map out the extent of the road that passes through the box. Now we're almost done. The last thing to put on our map is the 1000 meter contour line, which might be a little tricky, but don't worry, the examiners actually made it easy for you. Now let's look at the whole map again. If we look closely, we can see that the 1000 meter contour line has been labeled in 2 places. If you can see here, 1000 meters, and then up here we have another 1000. I know it can be difficult to see, but I mean what I said when I earlier mentioned that the examiners kind of made it easy for you. So the 1000 meter contour line is slightly darker than the others, making it easy to trace. And if you look inside box ABCD, you can see a contour line that is slightly darker than the rest, and that will be a 1000 meter contour line. So let's zoom in now. So if you look at the box ABCD, you can see a contour line that is slightly darker, as I mentioned. It's not as faint as the other ones, and that's the 1000 meter contour line. But now let me trace the path of the 1000 meter contour line from their origins so you can make more sense of what I'm saying. So you can replay this part a few times to try and follow the contour. So remember, we are only focusing on the part in the box ABCD. So now let's zoom in and look at this carefully before we draw it on our map. And this is how the 1000 meter contour looks on the map. And now we're done with question 1A and B. So let's add some finishing touches to the map. And now our map looks beautiful. We can see the map key on the right, which is very important. Again, I want to remind you that you're supposed to use pencil. Everything for the box, the grids, the key. The only reason I used colored pens was to make it clearer for teaching purposes and also for aesthetics. So now let's move on to the next question. Calculate the length of the secondary road from Ilora to Adaiton town. So from the key, we have the secondary road as the red and white striped road. Now let's identify the towns in question. Zooming in, Ilora and Adaiton town. We can see that these towns are joined together by the secondary road. So all we have to do is measure this. Now for this question, you are not going to use a ruler but a long piece of white thread. Now you place your thread at the first point, and that will be Ilora, and then you will follow the path of the road upwards all the way to Adeyntor town. And when you get there, you can use your pen to mark the ends. And that's why I said a white thread, because it will be easier for you to see your barrel marking on the white thread. And all you have to do now is take that piece of thread and stretch it over your long ruler to get the measurements. On calculating the length of the road, I got 23 centimeters. That's when I placed the thread on the ruler from the part that I started from to the point where I marked where it stopped at Adeyntor town. But that's not the answer. We need the actual ground distance. This is just how it is on the map, but we need to convert it to ground distance. Now, all we need to do is recall the scale of our given map, which is 1:50,000 in representative fraction. The scale is not 1:25,000, mind you, as that scale was only given to us to enlarge box ABCD. The scale we're going to use to calculate this question is the scale of our actual map, 1:50,000. And if we convert this to statement scale, that would be 1 centimeter to half a kilometer. We have already discussed this conversion in our map scale video, but for the sake of those that might still be a bit confused, recalling that 1 kilometer is equals to 100,000 centimeters, don't forget that 1:50,000 is the same thing as 1 centimeter over 50,000 centimeters. And the representative fraction, the unit is always in centimeters, but because we can cancel them out, as you can see in the fraction, we don't normally write it when putting it in the ratio form or even in the fraction form, but I just added it here now to make it easier. So therefore, 100,000 centimeters is equals to 1 kilometer, and so 50,000 centimeters will be equals to what? When we calculate the value of x, we get half a kilometer. That's how we arrived at the statement scale that 1 centimeter is the same as half a kilometer. But if you are still a bit confused on this, you can rewatch this part, and you can also go and watch our map scale video where we talked about different conversions and practice lots of questions. And now converting our 23 centimeters on the map to ground distance will give us 11.5 kilometers. And now moving on to the last question. Discuss 3 factors responsible for the growth of Oyo town. So first, we need to find Oyo town on the map, which is the main town and also the name of our map. Remember, the name of our map is Oyo NE. And right here, we can see Oyo. Questions like these are easy. The only thing you need to do is make deductions about what you see on the map and the key. You're not supposed to cram any of these things before you enter the exam. No. By comparing the map key with what you can see on the map with your own eyes, then you easily get the answer to this question. You can even get more than 3 factors. Firstly, one thing that stands out as I'm looking at Oyo town, which I'm sure you guys notice as well, is that all the roads pass through the town. Main, secondary, and minor roads. The roads connect other towns like Ilora and Awe. The minor roads will further enhance accessibility, and these roads also promote trade among the different towns. So now if you look again around Oyo town, or looking at the whole map in general, we can see that we have a lot of roads, secondary, main, and a lot of footpaths as well. So enhancing transportation and trade, connecting cities. Secondly, the map shows rivers and water bodies around Oyo, and they even pass through the town. So we can say that they support irrigation in farming, fishing, as well as domestic use. Where there is water, people also settle there. Don't forget about the reservoir that Oyo has, which is also a source of water. Thirdly, the scattered cultivation and plantation, which is a large farm that specializes in planting cash crops, and usually only a single type of crop is grown there, like cocoa, sugarcane, etc. This also tells us that agriculture plays a major role in the growth of Oyo town. Zooming in here, we can see all the scattered cultivations in smaller circles. Here is the big plantation. Down here, we can see the plantation and the scattered cultivation symbols. Another factor responsible for the growth of Oyo town is the presence of numerous institutions as well as administrative buildings. If you look at the key and the map, you can see that there is a high density of schools and churches in Oyo town. In fact, Oyo town has the only hospital, police station, and prison on the map. And even one of the 2 dispensaries, popularly known as pharmacies, where you buy medicines from, is located in Oyo town. So now let's zoom in and look at all these features I just mentioned. As you can see, looking at Oyo map, you can see SCH, school, CH, churches, and then the hospital that I spoke about is here. The prison the prison I spoke about is here, and then this place here, PS. If we look at the map, we can see that it means police station is also here, located in Oyo town. And just above the prison that is circled here, close to the Oyo, we can see DISP dispensary. That's what we popularly know as pharmacies, located in Oyo town. And all this can be found anywhere else on the map. So that will be another factor responsible for its growth. As you can see, all these things I told you, I didn't see them from any textbook. I only deduced them by looking at the key and the map. Now remember, they said discuss. So just listening won't be enough. Obeying instructions is key. If you just list, you might get half of the mark allotted to this question. The road networks and transportation. One noticeable feature of Oyo town is the many roads passing through it. These include main, secondary, and minor roads, as we saw on the map. The roads connect Oyo to other towns like Ilora and Awe. The minor roads improve accessibility, making movement easier, and these roads can also help with trade between the different towns. Number two, water resources. The map shows rivers and water bodies around Oyo. Some of these pass through the town, which provide water for irrigation, fishing, and domestic use. Where there is water, people tend to settle. Oyo also has a reservoir which serves as an additional source of water. Number three, agricultural activities. The presence of scattered cultivation and plantations. A plantation is a large farm that grows cash crops, usually just one type of crop, such as cocoa, sugarcane, cotton, and this indicates that agriculture plays a major role in the growth of Oyo town. Number four, institution and administrative function. The presence of many institutions and administrative buildings, a large number of schools and churches are also found in Oyo town. In fact, Oyo has the only hospital, police station, and prison on the map. It also has one of the two dispensaries, which are pharmacies where medicines are sold. And with that, that brings us to the end of this correction video. Make sure to go through any part you don't understand as many times as possible. As I said earlier, let me know in the comments if I should do a video on NECO 21 because I already used the question in our map reduction and enlargement video as an example. But if you guys would like to have it as a separate video with the map reading and objective questions, let me know. Hope you learned a lot from this video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you.